Welcome to Dragonfly Trading. My name is Carrie, and I'm a full-time trader in the crypto and Forex markets. Today's video is going to be an update on Bitcoin, the DXY, and we're going to take a look at Luna. Remember, this is not financial advice. This is just the way that I see the market. If you are not following me on Instagram, please do, because I will have an announcement coming out about the course. And also there will be an announcement about a pre-sale and you don't want to miss it. So if you're not following me, please follow me. All right, so let's get started. We are on the BLX chart. And I was looking at this today, looking at this count like I've looked at it so many times. And what I noticed is there's only one time in history that Bitcoin overlapped another wave. In Elliott Wave, there's only two situations where that can happen. The first is you're in a 5-wave move, and it's where you're sandwiching higher degree 4 and a lower degree 4. Inside of your third wave, you have 5 waves. And right in this area of the lower degree 4 and the higher degree 4, they overlap each other. The higher degree 4 usually will not break the lower degree 4. If it does, it's not by much, and it shouldn't. So taking a look at this run, I would assume that this area right here is a lower degree 4 and a higher degree 4. So the first area that we want to take a look at is right in here. If this is a lower degree 4, we don't want the higher degree 4 to break it. That's obvious. Another thing that we want to think about is if we're going to come lower and we come into the top of this 20K run, then we have to assume that it's a higher degree 4. And it would mean that the move was actually like this. The 5 was over, and now we're coming down for a higher degree 4. And we don't want to break this area of the lower degree 4. Yes, we would still go up for a big 5th wave. It just would get more ugly and we would come deeper. But there's one other thing that happens when waves overlap. If you noticed, I pulled how big these runs were. The first run was 300,000%. Even though it doesn't look like it, it was a huge percent of a run. The second one was 58,000. The third one was 11,000. And then, believe it or not, this last one was only 2,000%. So they're getting smaller and smaller and smaller. And the only other thing that does this and has overlaps is when we're making a nest of 1-2s. The first one is big, the biggest wave. Pulls back for a 2. The second one is smaller, pulls back for a 2. It doesn't have to overlap, but it can. And as it goes up, it gets smaller and smaller and smaller. So all of the runs of 5-wave moves get smaller and smaller and smaller. And they can overlap. So if we break into our wave one that we don't want to break into. It could be that this is the primary one, the primary two. This is a lower degree 1 and 2, lower degree 1 and 2, and we've just made a 1 of lower degree, and we're going to make a lower degree 2. I know that you don't want to hear that this could potentially come much deeper than we want, but there is a little bit of hopium to this. If we come into this wave 1, it's going to invalidate this going up for a 5th. And we will be thinking to ourselves, is it a 4? It still can be. But what if they're all 1-2s? What it would mean is that when this third wave comes, it will be the biggest thing we've ever seen. It will make these runs look like they were tiny little runs. This third that will come will be so big. Millions and millions of dollars this market will go to. Is it this one where we're making thirds and fourths? Could be. Or is it all 1-2, 1-2s? If I had to pick, I'd pick the 1-2, 1-2s. But I don't know which one it is for sure. We're going to have to wait and see. Okay? All right, let's move over to the Bitcoin chart. Another thing, I pulled time for our fourth waves to try to ask myself, was this the end right here? When I pull a time from this 2 to this 3, this right here hit perfectly. You couldn't get any more perfect. It's telling me that this is a 5th wave. But if this is a 1 and this is a 2, okay, if it is, then we are coming close into the time of saying that this is a 4th wave. All we have to do is stay out of the 1. We can totally come into this top. We just have to stay out of the 1. Okay. Now, this is minimum requirement. Okay. So, pulling the time for minimum requirement, there's nothing saying that all of this cannot be a 4th wave. But just a little more things to think about. Okay. All right, let's get into the counts real quick here. I am still leaning towards the WXY. If we start to break the $22,000 level, WXYs do not come deeper than the 1.382. If we start to break it, I will start to think that this was the top and that the wave actually started here because it'll allow it to go deeper. Okay. Over here, we had 1 correction, 2 corrections, 3 corrections. I would assume over here, we would have 1 correction. We should get a relief rally soon. Okay. And then a 3rd. That would give the market symmetry. Hopefully, maybe, we can hold this level. But if we don't, the Y can come down to 17,357. If we start breaking that level and we don't hold this little fourth wave territory here, I will have to assume that this bear market is going to go much deeper. And we need to consider, especially if we come into the one, that this is potentially a two-wave. There's just no way around it, especially if we come into this, the top of this one. Okay? In a prior video, I talked about what to look for off the bottom. I'm going to go over it a little bit here. Knowing when the bottom is in is difficult. But the first thing you want to see is it break through the prior fourth wave territory, which it has done here on the very small time frame. That's first thing on the list. Then you want to see this V-shaped recovery, which it has. Oops. The next thing you want to see is that it pulls back and can hold support here. If it goes right through, well, it's failed. Then you want it to hold support here, and you want it to kick off. If it cannot get past this area in a 1, 2, 3, 4 finds support in here and kick off our 5-wave move, we are not coming out of here. What will happen is this will be an A, a B, and a C wave that won't be able to get through. What does that mean? That we're rolling over again. Okay? I get much more deeper into that in my video called When the Bottom's In. Okay? But this gives you a little brief description of what to look for. It's got to get through the prior fourth, push through, pull back, find support, kick off, fill in this insufficiency, and then it's got to get above here, this prior fourth, so that it can fill this gap and fill in this insufficiency. Okay? All right, let's move over to the DXY. The DXY has an ABC to the upside. It then has a zigzag. This in the middle is a connector. It is a connector for this partner leg. It's going to make one to the upside. But remember, the DXY isn't going to go straight up forever. It has to correct. But it is making a partner leg, which is not too good for Bitcoin. Okay? Let's take a look at the count. We have a main 1 and a 2. The third is not in yet. We have a 1, 2, 3, 4, and this is an overextended fifth wave. The way you target an overextended fifth wave is pulling from pivot 0, 3, 4, targeting the 1-to-1 and then the 1.618. Let's get in a little closer here. I feel that we have started the 1. We've pulled back for 2, and that we're going to kick off for 3, 4, 5. This is not going to be good for Bitcoin for it to go up again. Now, one thing I forgot. On the RSI, this is how I know that we are in the sub-degree third of the third. It is the highest point on RSI. The highest point on RSI is your sub-degree third. The RSI pulls back, and then you get divergence between the sub-degree third and the main third. The fourth wave resets RSI and gives you bullish continuous divergence between these pivots. RSI then kicks off and gives you bearish divergence again between the main third and fifth. That's how I know we are in the sub-degree third. Now, hopefully, when it sets in this third, this 4 can pull back to this fourth wave territory, or it can pull back to this fourth wave territory. Pulling back lower would definitely help Bitcoin, but it can totally find support on top of this fourth and then kick up for its fifth wave. So we have some more upside, and then hopefully when this corrects, it will allow Bitcoin to give us a decent relief rally to the upside. Hopefully. Okay? All right, Luna. Poor Luna. In my last video, I stated that I really thought Luna was done. And it looks like that was the case. And I also said that if it could hold and not break this low, then maybe I was wrong about this count and this could go higher. But unfortunately, it didn't happen. Now, did I expect it to break through this fourth wave territory? No. I will admit it. I didn't think we'd ever get a sell-off like this. I know there's some rumors out there, but here's the thing. This leg is the first leg of something. It is definitely an impulsive 5 waves, which means Luna needs to rally as big as it can and create the highest B wave that it can, so that when it gets the other 5 waves, because what starts with 5 ends with 5, maybe it can make a higher low. And then we can call this a 1 and a 2. Absolutely, Luna cannot break this bottom. If it does, that is extremely bad for Luna. Okay? We do not want to break that low. Off the bottom, what did I say about Bitcoin? That it needed to break through the prior fourth wave. Luna did a pretty good job of getting through this supply zone. It pulled back right into it and kicked off, but it couldn't get through this one. What it needed to do was make a 1, a 2, a 3, a 4, and a 5 and get above it. So that when it pulled back for a B wave or a wave 2, it could pull back into this area and kick off and fill more in of that horrendous dump. But it failed, and it made a zigzag. A, B, C, bonked its head, and it's going to roll over. This right here is just a little flat. It could come up pretty high, but then it's definitely coming down again. Okay. Hopefully it can make some sideways movement here. Okay. So that it can create a fourth wave. The higher the fourth wave, the better. So that when it rolls over for its fifth, it can hold that area right here where the 1 wave is. Okay. This is probably a fourth wave. And then it'll roll over for a fifth. And then it needs to rally It really needs to rally. All right. Follow me on Instagram, and I hope you have a wonderful, wonderful evening.